I'm an actress. I'm an athlete. I'm a friend.
I'm a thinker. I'm a director. I'm a dreamer.
Who am I? I am we.
I am we. I am we.
We are family. Hey,
We is for me.
Get serious, Jenny. With a face blemished up like yours, you need camouflage. Your skin's a mess.
I went through, everything, acne, pimples, everything, and awkwardness and nervousness around boys, and feeling completely dorky and goofy and alone and misunderstood and everything.
You're neither here nor there. Not a little girl, not a woman. What people say to or about us means too much. The way we look counts too much. But if our feelings get hurt, there are also great lessons to be learned. What did you learn in the scary land of adolescence?
When I looked in the mirror when I was a teen, what did I see? I saw someone who was really misunderstood. I saw a geeky girl who, with the right, hairband, I would be great. With the right wig like Lana Turner wore, I would be great. If I had a mink stole and some diamonds, everything would be great. But here I was, a farm girl, in a red and white checked blouse and pigtails.
Well, I played dressed up a lot. I've always had a lot of wigs. I started collecting wigs like in 3rd grade. My mom gave me my first fall. So whenever I was in the mirror, it was a lot of character development, stuff like that, doing different characters and playing with my wigs and outfits. But I never looked at myself like, oh, you're ugly, or oh, I wish I had blue eyes and long hair, and, it was usually a fantasy.
I liked who I was. There were things that I would say that, oh, I wish this were different. I didn't like my forehead, or I didn't like my nose, but I liked my mouth, and I liked my lips, and I liked my teeth.
I wasn't into looks at that point in time in my life. I really didn't stare in the mirror as much as I do as an adult, I noticed. Because I just really wasn't interested in what I saw. I was just a stick,
I thought of myself as pretty much an average-looking person. Not particularly attractive, not unattractive, but definitely not one of the attractive girls in the class. I never looked at other people and wished that I could be like them. I never had one person that I would have wanted to change places with.
Well, my older sister was always really pretty. She was always really pretty, and I remember thinking, we look a lot alike. Why does she look better?
There were 3 Lauries in my elementary school that were very popular, and they all knew each other. They kind of ran all the cliques. And I remember that one girl had straight-leg corduroys, and I guess they were Levi's. I don't know, but I begged my mother to take me to the store to get them. And I got them, but I got the wrong kind, and it was just, everything about it was wrong, and I couldn't even just wear them like Laurie, whichever Laurie that was, that wore them correctly. It was all wrong.
I was the flattest girl in the 8th grade. I remember once intercepting a note that Jeff Park sent to Robert Ferrari saying that I was a carpenter's dream, flat as a board.
I grew like 2.5 inches one summer between 11 and 12, but none of it went horizontally. It was all vertical. And my nickname was Weed, which is a horrible nickname for a young girl. And I was very self-conscious about that. But I remember when our piano teacher, our music teacher at school, told us she was getting married and leaving, and she was our favorite teacher. We loved her, Miss Panapinto, that we all went into the girls' room and cried, and they all cried on my shoulder because I was the tallest. And I thought, I just want to be the same size as everybody else. I just want to be like everybody else and be able to wear a training bra in 7th grade.
I still don't need a training bra, but, I mean, there was some sort of honor involved. So I just had to grovel for it, and finally went to Newberry's, which was a sort of drugstore, where I got my training bra. I was so proud.
And of course, you had to wear one in 8th grade, whether you needed one or not, because the boys did that thing where they grabbed the elastic at the back and went.
Bruce Byer was 14 and I was only 12, and he was going off to crew on a sailboat that summer. And he walked me home, and at the end of our road, which was this little sandy road that went through the woods, he reached over and gave me my first real kiss. And I just almost melted right there on the spot. It was so utterly exciting. And he was 2 years older, which was, well, those boys didn't usually pay attention to us. I had a huge crush on him. That was pretty good.
Harold Wood. He was so cute, and he was such a fast swimmer. He was always a fast swimmer. He was one of those people who never had to realize that he had limitations.
I remember this boy named Travion. He was really cute. I had a crush on him, but I never thought, I was taller than him. That's pretty funny. But what's funny is that I ran into him recently, and he doesn't look the same.
I had crushes on movie stars, and sometimes, on boys, but boys are so much less sophisticated than girls at that age, that their voices haven't broken yet, and so I would have crushes on pretty lame movie stars, actually. Troy Donahue. Go figure. Tab Hunter.
Robert Redford was a very big, long crush, lasted like forever. I had pictures of him all over my wall.
Jim West from the television show Wild Wild West. I would watch it religiously, and he'd be wearing a tight bolero jacket and those black jeans, and he always had like some gadget that would whip out from his boot. I just thought he was as sexy as the day was long. I wanted to be one of those girls in the crinoline, and oh, Jim! And then he started doing the battery commercials, or, knock it off my shoulder, and I kind of lost it for me after that, I think.
I was always one of those girls that the boys liked as a friend. I was the girl that they would call and say that they had a crush on one of my girlfriends, that kind of thing. And there were times when that bothered me, but in the long run, it was actually kind of comfortable to have this great group of boyfriends as well as girlfriends.
I knew that I had power over boys when I realized that I didn't need them. When I realized that how I felt about myself was not going to be defined by whether or not the cute guy in the class liked me. Once you sort of realize that you can do it on your own, with that comes a power.
Now we're getting somewhere, becoming someone. Come back to the time of becoming ourselves.
April, 30 days of frizz-making rain and one to pay taxes. You deserve a break. We, Women's Entertainment, invites you to spend April in Paris.
It's very enlightening, huh?
Every Saturday, enjoy an original hors d'oeuvre set in France and a main course movie celebrating joie de vivre.
It is great to be sexy in a new country.
Don't fret about frizz and taxes. Spend April in Paris with We, Women's Entertainment. This Saturday at 8:30 Eastern, brought to you by Rock Skincare. What is it?
The it girl is the girl of the moment. Beautiful, cool, and sexy.
An it girl is, well, probably like me.
Everybody's an it girl.
I was in like 15 years ago.
My it girl.
Want it?
I don't know. I never thought of myself as an it person. They need a lot of attention. All the it girls in the world. Was that it? It will do for now. Tag, you're in.
It Girls, premiering Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern on We, Women's Entertainment.
Consider this. When we were babies, we took baby steps. As little girls, we played in gardens of promising tomorrows. Then most of us confronted adolescence with all of the ease of a bull in the china shop. And when we arrived on the other side, what was our reward? High school. Even for the sure-footed, it was very difficult, but it was also an awakening. A new voice that began to be heard. A small voice coming from inside us. A voice that said, I am. I will.
I was a flower growing, you know, and you know how a flower can go from a real ugly piranha, or maybe it could look like something perverse, and then turn into something very beautiful. That was the stage. Going into high school, that was the stage I was in.
I was this odd combination of somebody who was very directed and very conventional at the same time. You know, when people in my class started to wear, you know, Indian print blouses and you know, let their hair frizz out, I was still wearing monogram sweaters and kilts and weegeons and stuff. And I remember that two guy friends of mine wheeled up to the house in their VW Beetle and wanted me to go to this music festival in upstate New York. And I think I was going shopping or something, some really lame-o thing. And I had a date that night, and I blew them off, and that's how I missed Woodstock.
A jock was pretty important to my identity. I was a good athlete and a good student. I never wanted to be a cheerleader, but there was a certain, it just never appealed to me, and I always thought it was sort of strange that my friends, because so many of them would get so emotionally wrought and just collapse if they didn't win the cheerleading thing.
I remember being in high school and thinking, I really liked the kids who weren't cool more than the kids who were. I liked the nerdier ones because they were the most interesting for me, but then there was a part of me that so wanted to belong.
I never tried to fit into any group. It never really mattered to me to want to be popular or have the kids come to my house. I was very much into, you know, these are my friends from 8 to 2 o'clock, and when I go home, it's over. Like, I was never a kid who talked on the phone or, you know, felt like I needed that type of connection because I have my sister and I have cousins. I have a lot of girl cousins to play with and hang out with.
Suppose I was an insider who felt like an outsider.
Well, I know I was an outsider because everyone told me I was an outsider. I was the one that they called weird. And there was always one girl in the class that was weird. You're like, look at her, she's so weird. And I was the weird one.
I went to a special school. I went to a performing arts high school, and it was filled with all the weird kids. People who were talented, people who were creative, people who were unusual, people who dressed different, who had a different way of feeling. And I remember thinking that that was cool, and I could bring that back to my neighborhood and walk in a different way and talk in a different way and not desire to be a part of them. That was very, very liberating.
There was a certain point when I was, I guess maybe in 10th grade, or I can't remember, but I auditioned for a community play and was cast. All of a sudden, I had found something that made me feel full. My grades got better. All of a sudden, I started paying attention. I loved biology, but I wouldn't study. And then all of a sudden, I started studying, and all of the kids that I was kind of grouped with, the bunch of us would always ask other kids for answers during tests. Now I was one of those ones that my friends were asking for answers from, and I felt special.
Two of my teachers in school presented